Hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett with another Spotlight interview, and I'm here with to introduce you to my good friend Kevin O'Brien. Hi, Kevin.
Hey Alex, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing really well.
Great to see you here and talk to you for one of our Spotlight interviews. You have a really interesting background. I know that you've been the CIO of really three or four companies that started sort of mid-size, and all of them grew very quickly and became very large enterprises. I got that right?
Yeah, I was actually with a few different companies that experienced pretty rapid and expansive growth. A lot of learnings in that process. Got used to really following some standards to make that successful. So it's been an interesting run at a few of those companies, and it's been fun.
That's awesome. So I just want to real quick, we only have a few minutes to talk for minutes about one or two of these companies, but then I want to make sure we talk about that framework that you have, those standards that you talk about. Three or four key roles that I can see. You were involved for many years, actually 25 years plus, at Entertainment Cruises. And for those of you in Chicago, you may know them as the company that owns the Odyssey Cruise. Everybody in the Midwest knows that place, the Odyssey Cruise. And you were with them. I remember when we started talking, you were with them from very early on, and they became a very large enterprise, right?
Yeah, they. I started with them a long time ago. I won't even give you a date. And they had one dinner boat. It was the Odyssey in Chicago, not the one that you see now.
Yeah.
That one's actually in Boston. And I actually started in their call center when I was in college, taking calls. And then
Wow.
yeah, and then I was actually went to school for mechanical engineering, but I fell in love with the hospitality industry and I started to move up in the call center, and I became their leader at the call center. I ran their call center for a while, and then I moved into technology, and I loved technology, and I stayed in the hospitality industry running their technology stack. It was just a department of one,
Yeah.
but as the company grew, I grew along with it, and I think we made it to I think we had about 180 boats across the country, including Canada, and I think we had some operations in Puerto Rico. And then my team grew to about 25 people when I was at the boats there. So it was a really good run. I learned so much. We did a lot of acquiring of companies when we went into private equity, and then we actually towards the end of my run there, we actually were acquired, and so I kind of saw both sides of the equation from that perspective.
That's great. On your profile, it says Hornblower Cruises. So you got acquired by them actually, and then you became head of all of IT. So you must have been doing something right because the acquiring company brought you in and said, "Hey, we're going to promote this guy."
Yeah, yeah. Well, the cruises and events, Hardblower was had a little bit more to it than just cruises and events. They did some
Yeah,
overnight cruising, but yeah, as far as the cruises and events division of their company, I ran the entire IT infrastructure or IT department for that.
that's great. And then you moved on. Again, it's a spotlight, so we'll do it quickly. So then you moved on to Bottleneck, and that is a big restaurant chain. Is that correct?
Yeah, they have some pretty familiar brands. Again, if you're in the Chicago area, they have like Sweetwater Cafe on Michigan Avenue, South Branch on Wacker, and then they have CityWorks and Old Town Poorhouse. It's a great company. They actually hired me because they were looking at acquisition and growth, and they saw my experience at the cruise company, and so it was really exciting to work there. I helped them standardize and automate and consolidate systems, and it was a really good opportunity for me to learn more direct restaurant technology because on the boats it was a lot more event sales and advanced sales, and so it was really heavy sales organization. But this is more of like a standard restaurant. They do have a very strong audiovisual component, which is very complex, and so I got to learn a lot about that. And so it's a great company, and they do great. They have great products. They do like I think 90 beers on tap, so they have quite a few options for you in the beer
Well,
area.
you said at the beginning you had to experience the actual experience to really help these
Yeah,
companies, right?
yeah.
So I'm sure you
I don't know
really,
that I ever got to all 90 beers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you and
Yeah.
I need to do a road trip. Well, I tell you, let's now that we've know some of your background, let's talk a little more about that framework that you talked about. Because I know from talking about you, you've actually created a framework for helping companies grow very quickly from the technology side. Because these processes are key to their growth, right?
Yeah, I mean, technology is instrumental in any acquisition from the beginning stages of due diligence through the acquiring process, and then actually the follow up, which is making it all happen, right? Making it all work. So in order for an organization to be successful in acquiring another company, you really have to get the technology stack in alignment.
That makes a ton of sense. You can't do it otherwise.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I know part of it originally was just financial. I would talk to people and they would say, "Oh, we got to get the GLs working together and all that." But now it's way more than that because technology is so integrated into all the business processes, right? You've got to get. I imagine, I'm guessing, you got to get all these business processes integrated. So, for example, you've looked at two different cruise companies. Ticket sales is probably something that you track, I imagine. And I would imagine if you have all these places, I'm guessing, am I right? Am I on target here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even financial really nowadays is a technology game, right? So
Yeah.
everything's either SaaS based or with an ability to integrate through APIs. And so really it's just applying common sense in a lot of cases. So first of all, the company that's doing the acquiring really needs to have their technology stack in order. You need to understand where they have systems and workflows in place that are scalable and ready to acquire. And then you need to know the gaps. So you need to understand like where are we not doing well, and so that when we go and we acquire a new company,
Oh,
and we do the due diligence in that new company, our gaps are known, and we can then identify how we might even be able to plug some of those gaps of what technology stack that company brings to the table. So it's kind of a mutual experience if you do it the right way.
so part of that framework that we've talked about before that you talk about is the upfront due diligence when you are part of the company that's going to acquire this other company, that you got to go in and do a technology due diligence. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct. Yeah.
That sounds like a really interesting project just to do for companies, to be honest with
It,
you.
it's really fun. Like, there's a couple of ways to make it happen, and I found the best way prior to the company actually making the acquisition and during the due diligence
Yeah,
phase is to go and experience. With these were all experiential products. We weren't like making widgets in factories. These are cruises or tour cruises, or in some cases they're land-based operations, but they're all
yeah.
experiential. So it's really going on site and experiencing them, talking to the people that work there, understanding the needs of the organization, understanding what works in that organization and what doesn't, and where maybe the synergies and the efficiencies that we bring as a larger company can help them achieve goals that they've even wanted to achieve but haven't been able to, and kind of identifying all those in advance. Of course, it's also doing the kind of the audit of maybe where their compliance needs work, or where their systems aren't working, or those types of things as well. But the fun part is really getting to know the product, because I think only by getting to know the product and the people, you can then start to say, well, where do they fit into the technology stack that we bring to the table, and where don't they, and what are some unique needs that they have that we need to address.
Wow, that's really interesting about this framework. I mean, clearly I know you have a framework. We can't go into all the key components of it, but any other key points that you want to bring up now about, companies that are looking to acquire other companies from a technology standpoint?
Yeah, I think one of the things I want to really emphasize that I learned after multiple acquisitions is you really have to respect the processes and the decisions that have been made by the acquired company. There's usually smart people that have done a really good job, and they've made good decisions to get them where they are. And you wouldn't be acquiring them if you didn't appreciate and understand that they are profitable, and they're a company that can contribute to your
Yeah.
success. And so like you really need to respect that. And I think the best way to do that is to listen, to talk to them. And so, in some cases I found they were doing things in a way that was more efficient and honestly better than we were. And so we would just incorporate that process or workflow into ours. And I think, that just makes a better, larger organization. Once you've consolidated, I think that gives you a lot more opportunities for growth and for excellence.
That's a great insight. Well, this has been a great spotlight interview, Kevin. I really appreciate you spending time with us. Again, you're an executive level technology leader in hospitality and fast growing companies that are merging and everything. And you've done such great work. I really appreciate you giving some of your insights to everybody on this spotlight interview.
Hey, thanks, Alex. It was great to talk to you as well.
Thank you, Kevin.